So I don't think the challenge in this market has been about opportunity or market size, which is a very real issue in many product categories. So therefore, one should not be dismissive of that, but that's very good. I think the challenge in this category has been how do you execute so that you can build a really high quality business that can scale independently for many, many, many years. I think that is the puzzle in this business. And that puzzle, some folks like Shailesh have solved it, for a brand and said, this is how you do it. And therefore, then you ask the question saying, how do I replicate this for either a different brand or a different product? But I think that is the part which is, been, I would say, missing, on a relative basis. And I think what we have, and as investors, we have many investments, as Harminder, you pointed out, in this space. And what we're beginning to see, maybe versus 7-8 years back, is we're beginning to see better execution. We're beginning to see more higher caliber professionals getting interested in the category and wanting to do this, not just for how interesting it looks and how glamorous it looks, but really saying, I really want to do this on a sustainable basis over a period of time. We're beginning to see some of those changes. And I think one of the things which people don't appreciate getting into this business, it's a damn tricky business. It's a very tricky business. And I explained this to Harminder the way we see it at Sequoia, right? It's a combination of someone who is very close to the customer and you're constantly reinventing the product every season. It's almost like you have a movie every 3 months or every 6 months, and then the movie becomes a hit or a flop. You very quickly assess whether it's a hit, and then you figure out how to maximize margins and sell-throughs. If it's a loss, you quickly figure out how to cut losses, do an end-of-season sale, and make sure that you have capital to reinvest in another movie in the next season. So on one side, there is a complexity of being very close to the customer, determining or predicting their taste. Based on the taste, you come up with a product, and then based on the consumer feedback, you relentlessly change the product. So that's on the consumer side. And on the back end, it's like a financial services business. You have inventory, you have raw material, you have output, and like loans go bad, your product goes bad. And then you have to figure out how to manage it. So it's a very tricky business because it has both these elements. And I think that is why it has been hard to get the right business. I think there is a reason for it. And that is why execution is so important. You need to get both right. You need to keep improving our predictive ability, keep improving the ability to shape consumer views and sometimes respect consumers' views on one side, on the demand side. And then while always remembering that this is a balance sheet business. So great that you grew revenues by 100%, but frankly in life, who cares? Because ultimately, what matters is whether what you sold, did you realize the cash for it? Did you make the profits from it? And then are you then able to plow the profits back, for the next season? So I think it's an inherently tricky business, which in addition to high caliber professionals, some of the other changes will hopefully help. I think organized retail is certainly helping because one of the ways to solve this problem is to get feedback from customer more quickly so that you can respond to it, you can be agile. I think organized retail helped us as an industry do more of it. I think technology, I think internet is certainly helping us do more, right? Because you're able to keep even lower inventory and then see how demand responds and then accordingly react. So I think as the feedback loops become shorter and shorter, it should become easier and easier to build, interesting businesses here, that can scale. But I think the biggest mistake in our mind has been done, whether by investors or by companies, is in chasing mindless growth in this business. I think that has been the underbelly, if you say the weak underbelly in this industry. I think the people who have succeeded